Moment.
Thank you.
Recording is in progress. Thank you everyone for agreeing to be recorded. Anyone have a problem with it? If not, I will proceed. The opening screen, the dashboard shows your current courses. Uh, I have a lot of courses as an administrator, so your screen won't look like mine. If you're looking for other courses that are not on your current roster, you can go to the left here and click on, that'll stop popping up. Sorry about that. You can click on courses and you'll see a duplicate of the dashboard in text format, all courses. It'll show your current courses, and then if you scroll down, it'll eventually show your past courses. As an instructor, you always have access to your past courses. Not that you can change anything in them, but if you want, you would be able to copy things from them. Going back to the dashboard view, of course, you also have announcements. You can X out the announcements once you've seen them with this X over here. And I will X out a few of these announcements myself. Okay. Okay. So this is the dashboard, and what you see here on the left is the green canvas menu. This is always visible, and it has some very important icons and features that you get to through the canvas menu. The first one I want to bring to your attention is at the bottom. It's the help button. And if I click it, okay, you can do some self-service by searching Canvas guides, uh, but you could also find something very important, the phone number for the Canvas support hotline. Now, I used to say in these workshops that they're very responsive, and they are excellent. They have the best reputation in the industry for tech support for the LMS industry. But of course, you will find the wait times longer now during the COVID-19 situation. But this is a toll-free number. They are available 24/7, 365 days a year. So when you're working and you're stuck, give them a call. Um, I can't promise that it'll be a quick pickup these days. You may have to put it on hold for a while. You can also send an email to support@instructure.com. Instructure is the name of the company. Instructure, let's see if I have it spelled out somewhere. No, I'll post it in the chat a little bit later. So that's the help button. This is the inbox, which is the messaging system for Canvas. It sort of floats and is always available for all your courses. We'll get back to that a little later. We've covered courses and we've covered dashboard. Admin is an item that you don't have. That's on my Canvas menu because I'm an administrator. You do have this account button, and the most important one, the most important one for you to know about is notifications. Let's say you're getting a lot of notifications and you don't want to get them in real time. Let's say you want to get one notification a day with a cumulative report of all the emails and announcements and messages that your students are sending you. If you click notifications, you get this very busy looking screen. It takes a little time to acclimate to, but basically, uh, you have all of these options. It's really more important for the students uh, who get to manage this, but just know that it's here and you can, here's the different options for your email, for your cell phone, which you can enter in. I have my cell phone number listed here. And then this is the legend. The check is to notify me right away. This is to send a daily summary and that sort of thing. Or do not send me anything. Okay. Uh, Now, how to enter your cell phone number? That's a good question. I'm going to take a little guess here and say it's in either profile or settings. And that would be here. On the right-hand side, you could add another email address, or you can add your cell phone number right here to get text messages. Again, I think this is more speaking to the needs of students. So let's get into a course. I'm using bookmarks. Please don't show me the bomb. Of course it shows me the bomb. I'm having a little trouble with my bookmarks. Uh, let's see if this one works. This one does work. Thank goodness. Settings, I'm going to reset the course content. Don't try this at home. You'll be sorry. All right. So now here we are at the opening screen of your Canvas course. So the difference now is I'm not on the landing page. I've gone into a course. And of course, I have a course menu. Uh, Home is always at the top and it's configurable. By default, the home screen brings you to what's known as the modules section. Because I have no modules, it says it's suggesting I create a new module. You may not know what a module is yet. We'll get to that later. Looking at these options, you may have some questions such as, what is this eyeball with a line through it? That is Canvas's way of telling you that this menu item is not currently visible to the student. There could be multiple reasons why it's not visible to the student. One could be that you've disabled it. I'll show you how to disable it in a moment. The other could be that it's enabled, but there's nothing in there for the student to see. I'm now going to show you something you're going to go back to again and again. So announcements and assignments right now has the eyeball with a line through it. If I go to student view, I now see what a student would see. And notice announcements and assignments don't show up on the course menu. In this case, it's because there are no announcements and there are no assignments. This is a blank Canvas site. When I'm in student view, what do you notice? At the bottom, it says you are currently logged into student view. And there's a button on the right to leave student view. Now I'm back at the teacher's view. As a teacher, you can always see everything that's on the course menu, even if it's not visible to the student. Good to keep that in mind. Okay. Let's take a look at there's announcements, there's
How
assignments. Yes?
how did you get to the student view? Because I
Yes.
missed it.
Let's do it again. When you click on the home screen,
Okay.
there's a menu set of options on the right-hand side. One of them is student view.
Oh, okay.
Has a pair of eyeglasses.
Oh.
I'm going to click
Okay.
it, and it brings me to student view. I'm now going to move my
Thank you.
mouse here, and I'm back to the teacher view. Okay. Now there's another way to change what shows up on the course menu, and that is to go to settings. Settings is an option that's only visible to the teacher, not to the student. And it's always available and it's always at the bottom. I'm now going to click settings. Okay. Now, by default, it comes up on the course details tab. But I'm going to move over to this third tab called navigation. Navigation has two main sections. items that are enabled in the course menu and the items that are disabled. Now, a lot of these items are native to Canvas, but a few of these are added in by third-party vendors that the Center for Online Learning has integrated into Canvas. It does get a little bit confusing, but the ones that are at the top to begin with are generally the ones that are native to Canvas. Announcements, assignments, discussions. Notice assignments is enabled. It's in the upper box, not in the lower box. Again, it's hidden to students only because there's nothing currently in the assignments. Let's say you don't think you're going to use outcomes. You have the option of clicking this menu bar, these three dots that are vertical, clicking on it and clicking disabled. Once you do that, outcomes moves to the bottom half. Okay. If you have some background noise, I would appreciate if you would mute your microphone. All right, I'm going to mute everyone for a moment. I believe you should be able to unmute yourself if you want to talk. Chris, could you test that, please? Could you unmute? Yes.
Just
Very good. So,
I just unmuted.
so
Unmute myself again.
if it gets noisy, I might mute it all, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't unmute yourself if you have a question. Okay. So I've disabled the outcomes, and now to make it stick, I click save. It's a little slow. Try it again, save. And now we can see outcomes has an eyeball, and the student will never see it even if there's something in there. Okay. So that's a little bit of a tour of the landscape of Canvas. Go back to the home screen. Okay. I'm going to unmute everybody now, just because I don't like muting everybody. It feels wrong. Okay. So I'm going to mute all. Okay. The first thing you might want to know about is announcements. If you click on announcements, then you can post an announcement by clicking this big green button in the upper right hand corner. Okay. To post an announcement, give it a title. Welcome to the course on XYZ. And then in this text box, you type your announcement. I'm not going to type anything too intelligent. I'm going to type nonsense. But notice that this is a rich text editor. It's got the very familiar toolbar on the top, much like you have in Microsoft Word. You can boldface things. You can make things colorful and so forth. You could also change the size. The other thing you can do is you can put in a web link, and it's instantly live. By default, as soon as you click save, that announcement is live. Okay. Notice the link is a live link. If I click on it, it brings me to that destination. So don't be afraid to put complex, rich information in your announcement. And one best practice is if you're telling about somebody to read something in the curriculum and there's a link to it, put the link right in the announcement. Students typically will get an email about the announcement in their HCCC inbox. So you can be pretty sure that they're going to see announcements. And once you post an announcement, we recommend that you leave it posted. Okay. It's a good way to have a record of what's going on in the course. Okay. Next, I'm going to show you that if you click on people, you see the roster. Now, there's not many people in this course, but you would see the list of people in your course. And now I'm going to explain that there's a number of different activities or items, types that you can create in Canvas. You can create an assignment, a discussion, you can create a simple page, you can upload files, you can create quizzes. And I'm going to show you a demonstration of most of these. We're going to start with a simple file. If I click on Files and then click Upload, I can upload most any kind of file here. The syllabus here. Okay, that happens to be a random file. Pardon me while I unmute everybody just to see, because it's just a little eerie.
Unmuted.
Okay. Now I'm going to upload another file. Okay. So you could tell your students to go to the Files section, and there they will find information. Now, they will find the files that you have uploaded. I'm going to click on the Home button. Notice the eyeball is gone. That's because it's enabled, and there's stuff in there for the students. Now I'm going to show you that you can also create pages. Okay, so think of the files as your file system within Canvas. You know, you have files in your hard drive. You have your syllabus. You have an assignment, a reading assignment, perhaps a PDF file. Maybe you have a data set. You can upload all of those into Canvas. They can't reach into your hard drive. You have to put it up in the cloud or in Canvas so the students can get to it. Now, let's say you want to just provide some information about, let's say you want to write an explanation of the assignment. You can go to Pages, create a page. Notice the familiar rich text editor. It's always the same. Here I am going to explain how I will grade the next week's assignments. Again, this is a blank slate. Think of this as your whiteboard, but it's an infinite whiteboard in that you can create as many whiteboards as you wish. You may not initially have any use for the pages, but it's just, I want you to know that it's here and it's ultimately manipulable. You can even attach a file to a page. Actually, I take that back. You can, again, have links. You can put in the direct URL. I just want to show you that you could also use this here to link to a URL, www.hccc.edu. I don't know that you need the HTTP. Let's see. No, you don't. And save. Okay. Okay. Oh, we must enter a title. How I grade assignments. Now you have choices. You can put something like this about how you grade in an announcement, or you can put it in a page, like a whiteboard that they can gain access to. But you have to give the students some way to know what's what and what's where. So now what are you going to do? You're going to tell the students, go to the pages section, go to the files section. This is starting to get to be a little bit like a scavenger hunt. They won't know where to find things. That's why Canvas strongly recommends that you use what they call modules. Modules is a presentation layer. It's how we recommend that you present the information. Instead of it being a wild goose chase, you can order things on the modules section. And I'm going to start doing that now. I'm going to create a module. I'm going to call it basic course info, and I'm going to add the module. Next, I'm going to add another module up here by clicking that button, and I'm going to call it assignments, add module. I could think of other kinds of divisions, but let's leave that for now. Now, let's say the syllabus has been uploaded as a file. I'm going to insert it into this first module. Think of a module as a folder, okay? If I click the plus button, I then get this drop-down menu, and I get to choose what kind of learning item, what kind of Canvas entity I want to display to the students. And I'm going to say file. It shows me the files I've uploaded. I'm going to select one, and I'm going to add the item here. Okay. Now, use your imagination, and instead of it being a spreadsheet, imagine it's a Word document that is my syllabus. Okay. Now, if I tell the student to go here, go into the course, what are they going to see? First of all, I'm gonna change the name of this to syllabus. To change the name, here's the familiar menu, 3-dot menu. I'm going to click edit, and I'm going to call this syllabus. Fix the misspelling, update, there's the syllabus. By the way, this little circle indicates that it's published. This empty circle means it's not published. I'm now going to show you something basic about Canvas. If I click on student view, okay, no modules have been defined for this course. Uh-oh, the students can't see anything. I'm going to leave student view and see what I did wrong. I have not published the module. Everything that you upload or create in Canvas has to be individually published. So now if I go back to student view, I see the module and I see what's contained inside the module. In this case, syllabus. I don't see the assignments module because I haven't published it. You publish something by pointing to that little circle. If I make that green, not surprisingly, if I go back to student view, I now see both modules. I'm going to leave student view. Are there any questions so far? If you have a question, please unmute yourself or flash your hands up in the video, and I'll unmute you for you. Okay.
I have a question.
Yes.
Once I organize my course in the module section, then is it automatically organized in other sections, or it is only the modules? I've been frequently working and using this the Canvas, but this module thing is the section that I have question with, and you just explained that it is for organizing.
Yes.
Once I organize my course in this section, is it automatically organized in other sections also, or
When
students
you
should
say
necessarily?
when you say other sections, you mean if you're teaching, say, English 101 and you have 3 different sections, are you asking is it automatically organized in the other course sections?
I'm sorry, maybe yes, my question was not clear. I normally, to make it clear for the students, all the course contents, I show the course contents in pages. All
Okay.
the assignments, the lecture slides, the handouts, everything is there for them not to get confused.
Okay.
Because I didn't know that the module is for organizing the course.
Okay.
I haven't used it yet, but my question is, if I organize things in module, do students have access to the same content when they click on pages, or they necessarily need to click on module?
That is up to you. If you leave pages enabled and you populate it with pages, then yes, they can go into pages and directly access the item. They don't have to go in through modules.
Mhm.
Now, one thing I am wondering, I thought I created a page. Yes, I did. But let me move this out of the way. Notice here that there's an eyeball next to pages, meaning that there's nothing for the student to interact with. Can anyone tell me why that is?
Because unpublished, you need to publish it.
Exactly. So now it's published, and if I refresh and hit home, page shows up. So yes, you can, it's a very flexible tool. If you want to organize your material as a series of pages with links and directions, you're perfectly free to do that. And you can tell your students to progress through the pages, which might have, useful revealing names like Unit 1, Unit 2, etc. There's nothing wrong with that at all. Where modules becomes particularly useful is, let's say you have some pages, but you also have some assignments and you also have some files. Modules provides a way of having a linear, organized presentation, an organized presentation of those items to the students. There are, in fact, other ways to do it even within pages, but beyond the scope of this course. So you do have the option of using modules or not using modules.
So then I guess I have one more question.
Yes,
So
please.
I just wanted to make sure I understood you correctly. So if I add different contents to different to different sections like assignments, syllabus, and then the pages, I add different files or content if they are scrambled there, then I can organize them in the module and ask the students um, just ignore those other contents in different sections and go to module to get access to organized.
That's correct. And I'm going to call on Chris, who has raised his hand.
Thank you.
Chris?
Hey, Bob, is it possible you could show us a course and how it's laid out?
Sure. Sure. Give me a moment.
I think you might get a better understanding of how everything comes together.
That's a great idea.
Intro to-
I'm going to go into modules. And here it's laid out Unit 1, Unit 2, Unit 3. And within each unit, there's a page, there's a web link, there's a discussion forum, another discussion forum, there's an assignment, and there's a quiz. So the discussions reside in the discussion container. The assignments reside in the Canvas assignment container, for want of a better word. But the students don't have to worry about it because they go into modules and they progress along this path and enter those items thusly. So this is a highly evolved course with a lot of different learning activities. For the purposes of getting your course online, you might want to focus on just one or two kinds of containers, learning item types, pages, files, and I am going to show you assignments as well. Notice also in this example course that we have disabled a lot of these things. So if I go into student view, we go home, go to student view, it's a little slow. And I go to modules, um, notice that a lot of the other things like the other paths, the other ways to get to those containers have been hidden from the student using the settings navigation technique that I showed you before. But a little bit of information overload. Let's get back to this.
Thank you, Bob.
Sure, thank you, Chris. That was a great suggestion. Now, we've seen that you can load files into the files container and pages into the page container. I want to show you another way of a sort of a shortcut. Okay. So to add files, I could click on the files container. Let me leave the student view. It's a little confused. And I could go upload. By the way, you could rename file names. You can download them, that sort of thing. So no, you don't have to worry about that. Okay. Now I'm going to show you a shortcut. Where are my modules? Here they are. Let me move this picture out of the way. And let me point my arrow at a very important symbol, this plus sign here. Notice it's on the same line as the title of the module. Here's another plus sign. This is related to this module. This is how you also a shortcut for adding items to your module. By the way, I also want to show you that the module line has a little contextual menu. I can change my mind, basic course information, update module, and so you're never stuck, okay? You could always edit it and change the name. Back to this plus sign. If I click the plus, it means I want a shortcut to adding something to this module. Here's the word add, and here's the drop down. I select from these choices file, and I could either select one of these files that I've already placed in the files container, or I could click on new file, browse, select the file, open, and add the item. Okay, it added it directly to this module. This is a shortcut for adding resources to a particular module. I'm not that happy with the name of this file. I can go to the contextual menu, click edit, and call this how to write a draft version. Okay, I can't spell. Now, this may not make sense to you pedagogically, but my goal is to show you the features. So I now have two files indicated by the paperclip. Now, maybe I want them in a different order. I can move my cursor here to the double row, and when it changes to a four-way cross arrow, I can drag it up, and now I've changed the order of things. I can even take this item and drag it down into a different module. Okay? Okay. So files and pages have been covered, and we also covered announcements. I want to cover assignments. You may want to have your students, if you use pages, you can describe the writing assignment, no problem. But what about how do you collect the assignments? That's what the special item called assignments is about. I'm going to click on assignments. I could use the shortcut method, but I'm doing it the old-fashioned way. I'm now in assignments. Notice this says assignments. This is not really a module. This is just sort of the common visual interface. And the assignments in this group would be listed down here. I can add an assignment either by clicking this shortcut key or this key. It's the same thing in this case. I click on assignment. I give it a title. Assignment name, essay, assignment 1. Here's the description box where I give instructions. I tell them after reading chapter 3, write 500 words using MLA citation to reflect upon, etc., etc., etc. as much writing as you want. Don't be bashful. Over communicate. One of the things of going online is you don't have that opportunity to explain and re-explain. You've got to over communicate. Put yourself in the student's shoes. What questions are they going to have? So try to explicate in as much detail as you can. How am I going to grade it? How am, your grade will be determined by XYZ. But there's more to an assignment than just the instructions. You need to tell them how many points it's worth, typically 100 points. But you don't have to use 100 points. Forget the assignment group, leave it to display as points. If you don't want this to count toward the final grade, you can check this box. And then comes the critical part, the submission part. It needs to be an online submission. And you need to indicate whether it's a file upload or a text entry, or if either one is acceptable. A text entry is when a box will be displayed. I'll show it to you. If you want to check for plagiarism, this option becomes visible only when you've selected file upload or text entry. So if I got rid of both of them, plagiarism checking is not an option. Once you select file upload, plagiarism is an option. Now you may be tempted to restrict the upload file type to say a Word document. I don't recommend doing that. There's all kinds of documents. There's DOC documents, there's DOCX documents. You'll get into trouble. Let the students upload something. If it's not a file type you can read for some reason, that they're using some weird program, you can communicate with them and say there has to be a Word file. Plagiarism review is an option. I'm not going to go in depth in it, but it's called Unicheck, and it's certainly a useful and effective tool. Okay. And we do have a document on the portal which will step you through how to use the plagiarism tool, which perhaps I'll show you right now. I'll take a little detour. I want to show you that on the COL webpage, not the web page, but the portal page, okay, which you get to by going departments and offices, and then Center for Online Learning. There's some other resources I want to show you later. Here's something on netiquette. Maybe you want to download this and share it with your students. If you click on the faculty tab.
I'm sorry, what was the link that you showed we can share it with the students? What was?
Come again? Oh, the netiquette?
Yes,
I'll show you that. I'll go back to that in a second. I wanted to show you that here on this page is a downloadable PDF on how to use Unicheck, the plagiarism tool. If you scroll back up, there's a netiquette guide for online courses. So if you click it, and wait, see it'll download, and you can share that with the students, certainly, especially if you're going to be using discussion groups, which we haven't covered yet. And this is on the portal, the COL page of the portal, Center for Online Learning. You get there by going Departments, Center for Online Learning. So that's a little sidebar. All right, now this is important. There's an option here. We're back to assignments. We've entered a title, instructions, as descriptive as it could be, how many points, submission type, file uploads. I'll just show you, you may not want to allow text entry. If it's a 500 word or more, you may want to insist on a file, but that's up to you. Plagiarism, I'm going to leave it off for now to keep it less cluttered. Group assignment, don't get confused by that. It's already assigned to the entire group. This is not a group assignment unless you're going to divide the students into different groups. Okay, so ignore that. Ignore peer review. Unless you're willing to, dive deep into Canvas. Assign to everyone. Leave that alone. Now, there is something that you might want to explore. You might want to tell them when it's due. It has a calendar widget, and I'm going to say April 30th. Something to know about that due date is it's a soft due date, meaning they can still submit their assignment after that due date. It will be marked as late when you go to grade it, but it's totally up to you whether you accept it, reject it, penalize it for being late, or simply let it go. Okay. If you want to have a hard deadline where the assignment is no longer available to the students after a certain date, you would use this available until option. I don't recommend using it, especially in these days of flexibility for students getting used to online. But I do encourage the use of the soft due date to let them know what the general guideline is. At this point, you can either save it or save and publish. If you're ready and confident, you can save and publish. Oh, due date cannot be after term end. Okay, that's because, not sure why that is.
That is because I experienced that issue a lot. It is probably it was after the due date you put it up there. It should be like the until should be yeah, it's 11:59 p.m. and down there it should be time before that, not after that.
Right. I'm going to leave it blank for now because I can't quite figure out why this is. I'm going to save it. If we want to take a timeout, I could do a quick look and
Well,
because I'm gonna,
question
because
related.
I'm gonna, yeah, I'm going to change this to the default term. Don't try this at home. This is administrative behind the scenes Michigas. Okay, go back to assignments. Now let's say I want to edit it because I was unsuccessful adding a due date. I click on it, and then I have to click on edit. Scroll down, and now I should be able to add a due date. April 30th. Save, like so. It's just a little slow. Okay. Let me go home. Move this. Okay. Now, why isn't it?
Ask you a question.
Sure, of course.
But if you could please get back one step behind, there you were showing the assignment box. I have had a problem with giving the students assignment. My question is, if I copy paste an assignment for the students, I was trying to do the midterm through the assignment section rather than the quiz. Then I copy and paste the content in the box. Students were able to get access to that, but they were not able to type in anything. They were not able to type the answer in the box. I was wondering if my question is that maybe I was doing something wrong, or it doesn't give the students it doesn't allow, the box doesn't allow the students to type in.
Okay. Okay, let's look at this from a student point of view. First, and try to enter in a text box like you're mentioning. First,
Yes, I was trying not to upload it through a Word document.
sure.
Yeah.
Okay, let's actually modify this. I'm going to click edit. And I'm going to remove the file upload option. Action. Is that what you did? You only had text entry?
Exactly. Yes, yes.
Um,
File both of them, only text entry and text and file both of them, but
okay.
no success.
I think I know how to help. So let me get to that point. I'm anticipating the answer. First, I want to take a detour and show you that on the modules view, I don't see that assignment. Why? I created it in the assignments container, but I have not added it to my module presentation layer. So let me add it now. I want it to be an assignment. Here's how the shortcut for adding things. Assignment is the default option for adding. Here it shows me anything in the assignments container. I select it, add item, and there it is. Okay, now I'm going to go into student view to see what the student experiences. I move my mouse to the right, click on student view. It's published so I can see it. It shows me the due date. If I'm a student, I take it by clicking on it. Okay, now I'm seeing the title, the due date, how many points, how I submit it, and the instructions. To submit it, I need to click on Submit Assignment. Okay, now here comes the tricky part. If I've given them different options, like file upload or text entry, the default submission mode is file upload. To do a text entry, they would need to click on text entry, and then they can type away.
Oh, so probably students were not able to figure it out.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't think it doesn't leap out at you as an option. If you're here, you're looking around here for how to type, and you've got to know to click on this. So what you could do is try to send a screenshot, or just tell them to look next to the tab that says file upload and click on the tab next to it that says text entry, and that should help them out. If you
Make sure that I add it in the necessarily I need to add it to the module in the module section, the assignment.
yeah,
Otherwise,
if you
they wouldn't be able to.
they won't be able to find it, perhaps. Right. That's the value of modules.
Thank you, thank you. That was very helpful.
Sure. So that's assignments. Now, let's actually go so far as to submit an assignment as this fake student. Okay. If I'm in the student view and I submit the assignment, let's say, let's do a file upload. Browse. So I've created my Word document. I apologize that I don't have a Word document to show you. Let me see if I could find something more suitable. Let's see now. 1 hour workshop on. I don't have any idea what that is. Hopefully, it's not embarrassing. I'm going to submit the assignment. Okay. Now, notice I can resubmit the assignment. Canvas does not give us a way to restrict assignment submissions to one. And in fact, let me resubmit the assignment. And let's see, recent. Submit the assignment. So now I've submitted two files. Let me exit, but you're the teacher and you want to know, where are these files? How do I grade them? Okay. Let's go home because that's just sort of a grounding thing to do. And let's click on this assignment. And here's the key. It's called Speed Grader. You'll find that for quizzes. You'll find that for assignments. You'll find that for discussion groups that are graded. If I click on Speed Grader, okay, I am seeing test student submission. If you had 20 students in the class, you would see in this drop down 20 students, and you could select different students, or you could use these arrows to go back and forth between the students. And as each student comes up, you'll see what they submitted. If they didn't submit anything, you'll see a blank screen. Okay. Now, how do you know which submission to grade if they submitted more than one? Well, there's a drop down and it tells you exactly the timestamp of when they submitted it. Maybe you'll only want to grade the first one. Maybe you're going to give them a break and grade the second one. That's totally up to you. Okay. If you click on this, you can download the file. Okay. Because maybe you don't want to grade it in this format. When you're in the Speed Grader, you can view the submission. You could also enter a grade, 87. Let's try it again. Oh, it's not entering. I'm not sure why. Oh, there it goes, just very slow. Okay, and I want to, nice job. You understood the reading. I don't know why my computer's so slow, but it is. By the way, if you're wondering what these green corrections are, I'm using Grammarly. If you haven't checked out Grammarly, please do. It is a fabulous tool. Submit. Okay. Now, this is a little tricky. How do you get out of Speed Grader? You need to know this icon here. This brings you back to something called the grade book. So if you click on this, it brings you to the grade book. The only student in the grade book is the test student. Before I explain about the test student, let me show you how to get out of the gradebook view. This hamburger icon is a toggle switch. I should have showed it to you at the beginning. If you want to hide the menu, the course menu, you toggle by clicking this, click it again, click it again. When you go to the gradebook, it assumes you need maximum screen display because this gets very wide. So it toggles off the menu. So just toggle it back on by clicking that hamburger menu. What's really cool about Canvas, and I'm sure other LMSs have this too, is test student is a real fake student. It stays in your course until you reset it, and you can act like you're this test student and see how things will go and practice grading and that sort of thing. So if you see test student in your roster, don't be alarmed. It means at some point you were going into test student mode, view as a student, and it leaves a little residual trace of it in your roster. But not to worry, it's not real. Okay, I'm going to stop now and ask. I'm going to unmute everybody. This is a good pause section before we move on to discussion forums. And I'm going to ask, I'm going to unmute all. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Hi.
How we doing?
Doing
We're
well.
doing good. We're doing good.
Does any of this make sense?
Yes, yes,
It's very helpful.
yes, absolutely.
That I'm the only person who keeps asking questions. I hope that the other participants don't mind.
No, it's good questions.
You're helping out everyone.
Terrific questions.
Thank you. I had a question about this last option that you showed us. Test student. It's like something like the US student, but it is for the quizzes.
Could you start over and talk a little more slowly?
Sure. This last option that you showed us, and you are sharing the web page with us now. If I understood you correctly, you said it is how the student views the result of his or her exam, correct?
Yes.
I was hoping to have a page to share it with us. And if you have graded student before, you click on test students to show us how students see the result of their test.
I heard most of what you said, but I couldn't catch the last few words. I'm gonna have to mute everybody, and then please unmute yourself, all. Okay, unmute yourself, Mitra, and repeat it.
I was hoping you have a student you have already graded, so you can show us how student views the result of his exam or her exam. Please, if you have.
Right. Let's see if I can do that with the test student. I'm going to student view. Okay. And now as a student, I'm going to click on grades. Okay. This is what a student sees, I believe. Wait, no. Let me start over. Student view. Grades. There. This is what the student sees.
Mhm. And your comment, where is the comment that you gave? Good job. I don't.
Here's the pointer.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Nice job. You understood the reader.
Yes.
Will the student know to uncover that comment? No comment. uh, yeah, it's not a perfect world. Online still has its bottlenecks. And when you try to return rich commentary, it can be a challenge for the student to uncover it. So you might send an announcement once to the students, telling them to keep their eye, if you like to give comments, keep your eye out for the comment bulb icon in the grade book. Now, there's some useful Windows and Mac have these snipping tools, uh, and if you wanted to take a little snippet of that icon and send it out as part of the announcement, but it's putting a lot on you, the teacher, and I understand that. But that's where it is.
I'm sorry,
Now,
what did you say? I need to keep an eye out on these comments?
oh,
Icon?
uh, if you if you give a lot of feedback on submitted papers like that,
I
those
do.
comments, and you put them in that box, you can send an announcement out to the students saying, when you're looking at your grades,
Oh,
look to the right hand side, and if you see what do you call this, a chat bubble,
uh-huh.
click on it to see my comments. Now let's see what happens if, as a student, I click on the essay assignment. Okay, I see the comment here as well. So I think that's another way of students getting the comments.
Mhm.
Okay.
But if the exam is not in the Word format, then the only option for the students uh, will be to click on that chat bubble, probably, right?
That could be right. I'd have to go through it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So we've covered assignments, we've covered pages, we've covered files, we've covered announcements. We've also covered how to, customize this menu somewhat. Now it's time to cover discussions. If I click on discussions, this is one of the more confusing looking containers in Canvas. I'm going to collapse this. I'm going to collapse this. Basically, here's where the discussions are. There are no discussions to show in this section. Click here to add a discussion. Or I can click here in the upper right corner. So if I click that, just like with assignments and pages, I must have a topic title. Okay. Um, Now, I like to label discussion forums. So I would strongly recommend discussion forum. Um, week 2 reading. Oh boy, can't type. Okay. After doing the reading, please post your reply to this thought question. Now, I'm not going to think of a clever thought question, so I'll just write gibberish. You might want to say, please make your first post at least 50 words. Uh, you have to set the expectations. There's no give and take in this. It's got to be laid out in great detail. Now, there's more things that you can set for a discussion item. It's posted to everybody. You can have an attachment. Threaded replies. Here's what that's about. If you want the students to only reply to your question and not reply to each other, don't allow threaded replies. Leave it unchecked. If, on the other hand, you want them to be able to post replies to your question and also reply to each other, then check that box. Now, I'm going to leave it unchecked for a moment because maybe I just want to get everybody's reply. Another option is whether users are allowed to post after having read everyone else's post. Let's say you ask a thought question and somebody doesn't have anything original to say, but they read 7 other posts and they say, oh, I think I'll take a little from that and a little from that, and a little from that. Then they have an original post. If you want to prevent that or mitigate that, you check this box that says users must post something before they can see anyone else's reply. Okay. If you want to grade it, if you plan on grading it, you've got to check that box. And once you say it's going to be graded, then you have to give it a point value, say 100 points, or maybe you don't want to overemphasize it, so you just call it 10 points. And we'll talk about points some more in the grade book very soon. By the way, group discussion. It's already a group discussion. It's the whole class. If you're not looking to divide the class into segments, don't check this box. Leave it unchecked. Okay? Assignment group, don't worry about it. It's more complexity than you need to get into. Leave everything. Let it be called an assignment. Forget about peer reviews. Assign to everyone. You don't want to leave this open-ended. You want a due date. April 30th. Save. And let's see what it looks like to our generic student. I'm going to go to student view. Oh, wait, did I forget something? I think I did. A couple of things. I didn't add it to the modules and I haven't published it. So I'm going to make it another assignment. I'm going to click that plus key. Do it again. This plus is a shortcut for adding things to modules. Add, drop down, discussion.
I have a question.
Yes.
I noticed that the module is actually in the home button. See it on the button?
Uh-huh.
How can I get my module there? My module is separate. It's home module, and I would like them to go into home and see the module.
Okay. First, I'm going to publish this. All right.
Okay, sorry.
No problem. By default, the module section is the home page.
Oh,
So, as a matter of fact, and this is getting a little fancy pants, I can go to settings,
settings.
navigation tab, and I could disable the modules so that they don't see it. I click save. This is getting a little advanced here because I know that the home key is actually going to bring them to modules.
Ah, okay, thank you.
So now, since it's been asked, how do you change the home setting? If you go to the right-hand side, choose home page, click it. Right now, the default is course modules. You can change it to be the syllabus page, which we haven't even talked about, the assignments page, or the pages. I will say the pages is a little complex. I'm definitely not going to cover that here. But those of you who decide to explore the syllabus page, just know you can change it so that syllabus is the default for the home page. So I'm going to leave it as course modules. Okay. We will briefly cover the syllabus page.
Okay.
It's
Got
a
it.
little bit of a distraction here. So notice I have clearly labeled this as a discussion forum. It's good to set the expectation for the student. Okay. Now let's go to student view over here. Click on discussion forum. And this is what the student sees. The title, the instructions, and the option to reply. Once they click reply, they can type their post. They can attach files if they want. That's not typically what you find in a discussion forum. And they post the reply. Okay. I'm going to post another reply from this test student for reasons that'll become clear in a moment.
Perfect.
Okay. And now I'm going to leave discussion, the student view. Okay. Go back home because that's where I feel secure. By the way, I did want to show you something about student view and this menu. It's on the right-hand side because I have a nice big screen. What if I were to make this screen smaller and smaller? It goes away, right?
Mhm.
Have you heard of responsive design? The system knows that you're now on a narrow screen or in a narrow window, and what you do is you scroll down and you can see student view down here.
Oh, okay.
Okay, but I'm going to leave it at a wide setting. All right, so why did I post it twice? Because now I'm going to show you how you grade these things. Now, you don't have to grade a discussion forum. Maybe you want to create a discussion forum for general discussion, allow threaded replies, that sort of thing. But this is a graded forum. I'm going to click on the forum, and I'm going to look for speed grader. Now, due to circumstances beyond my control, Canvas doesn't show speed grader on the right over here. I have to go searching for it. Here's that familiar three vertical dot contextual menu, and I click it, and there's speed grader. Thank goodness. Because without it, how would you grade it? So here is the test students' posts. Took a minute. And notice, no matter how long the thread got, if 30 other people posted, I would just be looking at the posts of the test student. And I can give a grade, I can make a comment, that sort of thing. So I'm going to give a grade. This one is a 98. It's terrific. I'm going to click submit. This student was just awarded an unusually high grade. That's an interesting message. How do I get out of speed
Sorry
grader?
for interrupting you. 1 second. Do all the students see each other's result? If I leave a comment, do they have access to each other's comment?
Absolutely not.
Okay, good, good.
Absolutely not.
This is for the uploaded files that we're asking for as a result of their assignments.
Assignments. Although right now I'm showing you discussion forums, which is a different kind of item.
Okay.
Love that.
How do you get out of speed grader?
The little book.
The little box brings you to the gradebook view. Here's the grades. A little bit more about the grades and the grade book. You can manually change the grades by going into the grade book. Okay. So every time you create a graded item in Canvas, it results in a column being created in the grade book. Okay.
Okay.
Now, a word about the grade book. You can, obviously, it's a wonderful method of giving feedback to students and allowing them to keep track of their grades. But you are free to keep an external grade book as well. Uh, by that I mean, we're more than halfway through the semester. You may already have lots of grades that were accumulated in the first half of the semester in your face-to-face course. It's not going to be easy to get them into Canvas. So students are going to have to accept that you're keeping grades in a grade book somewhere. So again, when you're using the tools of Canvas, graded discussions, graded assignments, quizzes, and what have you, uh, you're going to take advantage of the grade book. It makes it easier for you to keep track, and it makes it easier for the students to see what grades they got. But you're going to have to take into account that you've got other grades from before we went to online. And in the end, the ultimate gradebook is in Liberty Link. There is no link between and no connection between the Canvas gradebook and the Liberty Link gradebook, okay? There's no communication whatsoever. So this is for your convenience, for the student's convenience, but it's not the ultimate repository of grades, okay? Is that clear? Yeah, very important point to keep in mind.
Hi, good evening. I have a question for you.
Yes.
Thank you. Regarding gradebook, is it possible to manipulate the percentage of that particular assignment toward their overall grade?
Yes, it is. It's a little complex, a little bit beyond the scope of this class. I'm going to give you a teaser and then tell you that you can follow up with me afterwards
Okay.
or do a little self-study. Uh, the key is that first of all, you cannot directly manipulate the grade book. You cannot insert columns. You cannot change things. Uh, cannot delete columns, set up different mathematical formulas. You don't do that in the grade book. And forgive me while I defer the answer to your question, because it occurred to me I wanted to show you something else.
Okay.
I want you to know that you could also get the speed grader directly from the grade book. You do that by clicking inside any cell, and then you see this little arrow here? You click that arrow, move to the right, and click on speed grader. It's not that elegant, is it? 3 clicks into there. I'm going to give you a coming attraction, which is in the next release, which is I think in a week or two of Canvas. When you click on this vertical menu, speed grader will be one of the options here. They left it out somehow when they redesigned it lately, but I digress, and I want to return to your question. The way you add and move around and manipulate items in the gradebook is with the assignments container. In the assignments container will be everything that has a grade. And you can create groups in the assignments. Now, naturally, you can manipulate the point values to get your desired result, right? You could say everything is going to add up to 1,000, and I'll apportion, or 100, and I'm going to apportion point values as I deem fit. But you can go up here and create groups. Everyone shut your eyes if you don't want to get confused. Create groups, and I could say this is going to be the midterm essay. Okay, and I'm going to move this down here. Okay, you can click and grab it. Now let's say for the sake of argument, everything was worth 100 points, because that's when you get into weighting, right? So everything's 100 points, because that way they quickly know how well they did after out of 100. At this point, you go to this contextual menu and you click on assignments group weight, and you click that box and you assign different percentages to the different groups.
Oh, that's easy. Thanks.
Right.
Okay. That's very
Click
helpful.
save and so forth. And you'll find that as you create groups, they are reflected in the grades view. So here's, we now have an assignments group and we have a midterm essay group. These are groups and these are items that are being graded. They should be shaded different colors. I'm not sure why they're not, but so be it. Okay, back to where we were. We are about 3/4 of the way through the course, the workshop. We've covered the grade book to some extent. We've covered discussions. Note that you can participate in the discussion, and you should participate to some extent. We've covered announcements. Now, this workshop does not cover quizzes. The assumption is that it might be just a little bit too much at this late date to start creating exams and quizzes in Canvas. But I believe we have a workshop that covers quizzes. Now, some of my colleagues do cover quizzes, so since we do have a little bit of time, maybe I'll just show you that in principle, you can create quizzes.
Hello.
Yes.
Just going to say it's really, really interesting with the quizzes because the moment you know how to do it, become easier. Things are graded automatically. I did give my like 12 my classes right now because it's still open, but you know it's really, really, really nice. You know.
Well, with that endorsement, I'm going to dive into quizzes. I'm going to really dive into it. Okay. Let's see. So quizzes is one of the other containers in Canvas that I can create learning items. There are no quizzes available yet. As must be familiar by now, I create my first quiz by clicking the plus sign. Like everything, I must have a title. First thing to notice is there's 2 tabs in this interface for quizzes. Every container type is a little bit different in the interface. Here you create the details of your quiz, how many, when it's due, whether it's graded, put instructions, and your questions are on the other tab. So I'm going to go back to details, and this is quiz 1. This is a multiple, I have the hiccups, choice quiz, worth 100 points. Good luck. Now you might want to say a little bit more than that, like what the topic is, quiz 1 on chapter 3. Graded quiz is the usual option. You could leave it as part of assignments, or if you want to get fancy, you can create groups of assignments and give different weights to them. Shuffle answers is always a good idea. Can't hurt. Time limit is a good idea. Say 30 minutes. Okay. Now here's something important. You want to allow multiple attempts. If you don't check that, they only get 1 attempt. What if things go awry while they're taking the exam? Well, There is a way to give more attempts on a quiz. At this time, I will show you that. I'm not going to allow, but if you do allow, you can allow 1, 2, or 3 attempts, and you can set it to keep the latest quiz attempt the highest or the average. Okay? I'm a nice guy, so I'm going to keep the highest, but I'm not going to allow multiple attempts in this case. You probably don't want to let students see the correct answer because, let's face it, online carries with it a higher possibility of cheating and sharing of answers. So let's try to make it as cumbersome as possible, shall we say. You can let them see their quiz responses so that they can remember, they can know which ones they got right and which ones they got wrong. Now, here's the show one question at a time. I don't recommend that because students want to sometimes go back and forth between questions. They may be on question 10 and they need to go back to question 2. If it's one at a time, they're going to have to step through each question one at a time. And if they have a slow internet connection, it will be really laborious. So leave that unchecked unless you have a particular reason. There's due dates, April 30th as usual. Now I'm going to say save, or maybe not. I'm going to play it a little risky here, and I'm going to go right to the other tab. I clicked on questions. I'm going to click on new question. There's a whole host of different question options, true, false, or multiple choice. You may hear my doggy. Okay. I'm going to say, what color is the sky? Hopefully you'll have a more challenging question. You can use the rich text editor if you want. And notice that there's now 1, 2, 3, 4 possible answers. Okay. Now, if you need more possible answers, you can click on add another answer. If you want to have only 3 options, you can click the trash can to get rid of one. I'm going to put blue, green, yellow, or purple. Okay. Now the correct answer is up here. And in fact, on all of your questions, you could leave the correct answer as the first choice, because if you go to this details tab, notice I've said shuffle answers. So it'll be presented in different ways to the students. But let's say you're nervous about that. So let's say this is green and blue is the correct answer down here. Okay. Move your mouse till the arrow appears. Click to set this answer as correct. And now this will be indicated as the proper answer. Okay. We'll see what it looks like to the students soon. There is possible to give feedback to the students, but I'm going to leave that for another course. Now, this is very important. After you edit or create a question, you must update the question. Okay? And once you've updated the question, you can click save. If you want to add another question, you click new question. But each time you have to update the question. Let's say I wanted to modify this question. I hover over the pencil, click on it, and what color is the sky on most days? If I were now to click save, that would not stick. I have to, after having edited it, click update question, and then I can save. Now it's saved. Okay. Now, is it published? No. I'm going to publish it. There's lots of ways to publish. I click publish. I'm going to click home. I'm going to add it to my module presentation layer. Maybe I'm going to create a new module called quizzes. Do I have to publish it? Yes, I do. It's now published. I clicked on it. Use the shortcut, add, drop down menu, quiz, quiz one, add item. Okay. Now I'm going to go home. I'm going to click on student view. And my test student is now going to take a quiz. This is a multiple choice quiz worth 100 points. Good luck. I have 30 minutes. Take the quiz. And there's question one. I'm going to click blue. Submit the quiz. Go to the grade book. I'm in student view still. Oh, by the way, the student automatically gets feedback. Oh, I only got 1 point. Why is that? I didn't pay attention to the points, did I? Let's get out of that view. I'm going to click on quiz. I'm a teacher now. Click edit. Go back into questions. And I did go a little too fast. I skipped over the fact that points are determined question by question. So I click the pencil and I need to indicate this is perhaps 10 points. And then if I have 10 questions, I will have a 100-point quiz. I've changed the point value. I have to click update question. Then I click save. Now, this isn't terribly difficult. You certainly can do that. If you want, you can even create a pool of questions and pull a random sample out of that. But again, I think that would be information overload. I'll just give you a clue that if you edit this, instead of under questions creating a new question, you would create a new question group first, and then put all the questions in the question group, and it gets a little complicated from there. I'm not supposed to cover such deep topics.
Something very related. May I interrupt you for a few?
Please do.
I have two questions. One is something that has I realize that it becomes confusing for the students. It would be very helpful if I can set, or I can I mean, if this app gives me the ability to put numbers or letters next to the bubbles for answering the question, so the students know if they mark first bubble or the second bubble or the third bubble, it corresponds to answer number 1 or 2 or 3. Does it give us this option to put numbers or letters next to the bubbles?
I do not believe it does.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And I do want to mention, I want to keep you out of trouble, so I want to mention some things. If you create a new question and use multiple choice, use true or false, but if you use fill in the blank, you're going to run into this difficulty. You have to have an exact match. So if the answer is blue, it will be marked incorrect if they capitalize blue, or if they write, uppercase, lowercase. You have to have every option thought of in advance, and it'll just be uncomfortable. So I do recommend sticking to multiple choice unless you're really committed to a careful exam.
And can I ask you my second question?
Please.
And okay, when I create a group, I was not able to create a group. Like, say I have like 7 questions that are true and false, and the next 10 questions are multiple choice, and then the last 10 questions are essay questions. Can I save the time for myself? And maybe I don't know how to do it, but when I group them, when I click on the other option, it is the to make group questions. Is there any way that I can do it in the group, but I still have different bubbles for each single question, rather than having all 10 questions and I have only one bubble for all 10 questions?
I'm not sure what you mean by one bubble for all 10 questions.
I mean, well, I have question number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like 10 questions. But then it doesn't give, when I make a group questions, it doesn't give me, the students have only one option for all 10 questions when I create them in groups. Maybe I'm not able to communicate.
Let me,
Well, I can type it.
let me-
Maybe I can type it in the chat box.
yeah, let's do this offline. When you do groups, typically the reason you do groups is that you select certain number of questions from each group. So if you have 7 multiple choice questions, you might say, choose 5 questions to present 5 questions selected at random from those 7 multiple choice, and select 2 essay questions out of the essay question group. I'm not, maybe you have, maybe you're asking, are they getting the same question every time? I think we're gonna have to take this offline.
Okay,
Okay, thanks.
thank you.
Let me write down to be in touch with Mitra.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Excuse me, Bob. There's another question for you.
Yes, sir.
As you have gone through this, what do you call the quizzes? Is there any way we can, what do you call, bring down the questions that have been multiple choice questions already been constructed by the publisher and download them into this box?
Yes, the answer is yes, but it's beyond the scope of this course. And if you have those publisher questions and want to use them, be in touch with us at col@hccc.edu and we'll help you through it.
Thank you.
Sure. I'm going to ask if there are any more questions, because I think we've covered the material. You've been a great group. I've enjoyed teaching this, and I think we're going to wrap up. I'm going to unmute everybody in case.
One last question, sir.
Yes.
Regarding the online certification of, I heard from the online, your portal, that those people who have attended these groups, they are going to be certified by what you call, by email or something like that.
Okay, that's an evolving situation, and it's a good plug for me to show you. Go back to the portal to show you that there is a faculty online orientation. That's not this class. It's not this workshop.
Okay.
If you go to the portal and click on this, you can self-enroll in this online orientation. And I believe what's happening is we're going to work out over the next number of weeks a certification status that if you've gone through this class, you'll be able to print out a certification. Let me mute everybody because this is noisy. So I don't know exactly where that stands. It is happening. I don't know the details, and stay tuned. But whether there's a certification or not, I've only touched on some of the highlights of Canvas. And if you go to the faculty online orientation, you will find a wealth of additional information and get to experience what it's like being a student in one of the classes. So I urge you to do it. And we have staff in the classes who you can interact with by posting questions and that sort of thing.
Quick question. I just went on that same place, online learning, and click it. It said I'm enrolled, but how will I know when to join the class or and all that stuff?
It's self-paced. It's self-paced.
Oh,
Yes.
so how do I get to it though? Like now it says I'm enrolled, but like how do I get to the class to make sure I can like do whatever I need to do?
Sure. Once you're enrolled, it'll appear on your dashboard.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And do
Okay.
you
Thank
And that ties a nice bow. I'm going to stop recording and we can I could take other questions.